The number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Patrick Cristiano, your host, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs in New York City and the Hamptons. We cover Broadway and off-Broadway theater, as well as social events in New York and out here in the Hamptons, and there's theater here too. And today we have a special guest, Josh Gladstone, the artistic director of Guildhall. Thank you, Josh, for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me, Patrick.
Yeah,
it's nice to be back. Happy to be here. As you were just saying off camera, I was your first guest 40 shows ago, so glad to be back.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to hear what's going on and excited to know what you guys have got planned for the season. I hear your theme is Revolution. Yes,
that is the theme of the John Drew Theater season at Guildhall, and perhaps in general for Guildhall, but I'm going to speak to the John Drew Theater program, our lovely 360-seat proscenium stage. It's now going into its 84th or 85th season.
Wow.
And I'm honored to have been there for about 20 of them. Mm-hmm. And this is a good one under the new executive director who started last year, Andrea Grover.
Right.
We have got a mandate to really freshen things up in the theater, to try programming that is different than the sort of thing we've been doing. You know, while we do have some returning classics and some things that our audiences have loved over the years, we're really getting exploratory, revolutionary, experimental, trying some wild programs that will hopefully appeal to a wider demographic. We're looking to attract all ages to the theater. And to get people who are adventurous to come to the theater and take a chance on some very interesting programs.
What do you think is the most revolutionary thing you're going to do this season?
Well, I guess I should begin at the end then, because probably the most revolutionary thing we're doing is a 10-day performance of a play, experimental avant-garde piece called The Summit, which is a piece that is techno, puppetry, science fiction, avant-garde, immersive, musical show presented by Christian Scheider and Tucker Martyr and Isla Hansen. And this trio are young artists, obviously, all of whom you probably recognize some of the names, Scheider and Martyr from East Hampton area and have a good background here. And
does the show have a name?
It's called The Summit.
The Summit. Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's it's I'll say it again. The Summit. The Summit. The Summit. Don't miss the Summit. But it's going to run.
What are the dates for the Summit?
We've commissioned it. It's Labor Day weekend is until about the 10th of September. So it's running for basically 2 weekends at Guildhall at the end of the season. And I just saw they just sent me a Vimeo trailer that they've made, and it's really wild. It's about artificial intelligence, and kind of like the show Black Mirror on Netflix, the English show Black Mirror, where people take their personalities and they want to live forever, so they upload their personalities into a digital file that exists on the cloud. So their spirit becomes immortal, but their body, they shed their physical form, but their consciousness remains in the computer. Only they've taken this idea and they've turned it into a wild sort of Peter Sellers, like the dinner party event where all of these humans have gathered. They're all going to be uploaded, so they're having their last night as physical manifestations before they are uploaded, and something goes awry. And the artificial intelligence that's helping to make this happen manifests in an unusual way. And the cast includes robots and technocrats and cyborgs and philosophers. And it turns into this mad bacchanal. They're using puppetry and wild immersive scenic design. And this was a piece that was co-commissioned by Guildhall. They came to us with the idea, but we got so excited by it that we said, absolutely, we're going to end the season with The Summit.
Wow.
And it's got music by Forrest Gray, Spalding Gray's son, and a terrific cast that they're just putting together right now of some East End professionals as well as some people from the city. A lot of young vitality. They did Galapagos, which was a Kurt Vonnegut piece at the Parish Art Museum. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
A few years ago, and it was a really wild program where they had all kinds of puppets and they used the space very inventively. So they developed a relationship with Andrea at the Parish,
Right.
and so now that she's at Guildhall and they pitched her, she got very excited by this new piece, and
you're
I
excited
did
too. Like,
I'm
you're
excited.
really
You can tell.
excited.
Yeah, because I think it's so wild and interesting.
It
They're doing
sounds
this
it.
piece that's not anything like a traditional play. It's really experimental performance art, and it's going to surround the audience in a way that they're not used to being surrounded at the John Drew Theater in our traditional proscenium arch. It's going to be interesting. Projections, digital projections, and puppetry mixed. So there's the summit, and then there's other immersive things happening in the theater. There's an evening in August called Choir, 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 which is a one-night program, and I don't know if you've heard of this before. These are a couple of guys from Canada who
No, I
come
don't.
down, and they actually are very entertaining, but they wind up leading the whole audience together, teaching them and creating a chorus out of the audience. So the audience is the show. People come and they participate in this sing program where everyone winds up doing some crazy David Bowie cover together. And in the way that maybe when you do karaoke and you get an adrenaline high, Choir, Choir, Choir creates this sense of community, and it's actually kind of a spiritual moment where people come together and they create this emotional happening where it's all in breath and voice and song, and it's wildly participatory. And Andrea actually did this program also when she was running a space down in Texas, and she fell in love with these two guys that run this, a guy named Nobu. And anyway, they're coming up, and that's on an evening in August.
And what's it called again?
Choir, Choir, Choir.
Choir, choir,
Exclamation
choir.
point, exclamation
But
point,
it's only
exclamation
one
point.
evening.
It's only one night.
Because
we have, besides the summit, which
but
is
you
a
also
10
said
performance.
you said you had things that were done in a series. So this is
Well, we do. We have a couple of series that link together programmatically pieces of the 80 show season. We've got a lot of programming. Almost every night you can see one or even sometimes two things different at Guildhall. But we have series that link them together. So one of the series that we have is called Summer of Stories. And this is a series that runs from June 16th is the first performance in the Summer of Stories series, and all the way through to the end of the summer. And so Summer of Stories has a thematic connection where all of the programs that are being shown as part of the series are different and new and interesting ways to tell stories here in the digital age when everyone is looking at their phones and very involved. Well, Summer of Stories seeks to sort of break that and look at ways that stories are now being told, whether it be through podcasts, whether it be
Which are really big today.
which are huge, whether it be through non-narrative storytelling, whether it be through classic readings of literature material, whether it be through comedy, whether it be through memoir. So the Summer of Stories launches with a piece by a filmmaker named Sam Green and the independent rock band Yo La Tengo.
Wow.
And it's called The Love Song of R. Buckminster Fuller. And it's a multimedia evening which is about the philosopher and futurist R. Buckminster Fuller.
Wow.
And it's a film about Buckminster Fuller, but it is sort of narrated and put together by this filmmaker, Sam Green, who's there live, and he's backed up with a live soundtrack by Yo La Tengo. And it's a big projection, and it's immersive again, and musical, and at the same time, it's a really interesting way to tell a story. So that launches us on June 16th. And then after that, we have Philippe Petit, who is the acclaimed tightrope walker who crossed Notre Dame, and he crossed the World Trade Center. You remember this guy, Man on a Wire?
I remember. But what is he going to do on stage?
He's not tight-roping, but he's going to recount stories
So he's gonna
from
tell
his
stories.
experience, having done crazy, wild events in his life. You know, not just walking across the World Trade Center, although that alone is a story we're telling. But the man has been a pickpocket. He's been a circus artist. He's had a wildly interesting life. So he's going to recount tales from his life, and that's in June.
Is he only one night?
He's only one night. All the summer stories are just one night.
See, everything is one night.
Everything except the summit this summer is pretty much one night,
Mm-hmm.
but again broken into these series. We have other series. I can tell you the other series.
Yes,
We have a musical series called Guitar Masters, and this is going to be great.
I love guitars.
This is, well, so does Marty Cohen, the chairman of our board, and this is his pet project. He said, he loves the Season Spectacular, which we've done every year for a few years on July 4th weekend.
Do you have a guest
we
for
had
that
the Beach
yet?
Boys. We're doing Guitar Masters instead of the Summer Spectacular, because we've decided that we wanted to spread this sort of social event and this cultural programming not just on one night and make it one big expensive night, but for it's a fundraiser for Guildhall, so there's an expensive all-access pass for $1,000, or you can just come to one of the 3 nights of the festival. But it is a festival in that each day there's a film being screened, a guitar-related film, and then a live performance at night featuring people like Andy Summers, who was the lead guitar player from The Police with Sting. He's going to be joined by Ralph Gibson, who's a great photographer and guitar player himself. The next night is going to be G.E. Smith, who leads our portrait series and who was the lead guitar player on Saturday Night Live and has toured with 100 different bands. G.E. runs the portrait series, which last summer we did for the first time. This summer we're doing again. So he has the second night of Guitar Masters, and he's playing with Richard Thompson, who Rolling Stone called one of the 20 best guitar players in the 20th century. Richard Thompson is a fabulous guitar player, singer-songwriter, and he's bringing his young son, Teddy Thompson, who's 30-something, and he's a great singer-songwriter on his own behalf, and they're bringing the grandson, who's a kid who's going to play guitar as well. So it's 3 generations of the Thompsons with G.E. Smith. And then the next night is, they call him the Bob Dylan of Israel, David Broza. He's an amazing guitarist. They've made a film about him, which we're screening that afternoon.
Bob Dylan of Israel.
That's what they call him, David Broza. East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem is a film about a project where he's trying to help heal what seems to be unhealable in Israel, but Broza's and other artists who are Palestinian as well as Israeli are playing together, and they made this incredible film about it. So Broza himself is going to be here, joined by Badi Assad, who is this woman guitar player. She's from Brazil, and she's breathtaking. They made a film about her too, called Body.
You have an international
BADI.
program too.
An international program, and also joining them that night is, I'm blanking on his name, checking my notes, Brandon Ross, who is a jazz guitarist based in Brooklyn. So these are 3 dynamic guitar players that are bringing home the series. And that's just 3 nights, Guitar Masters. But we have a lot of other music sort of in the series at Guildhall. We have...
Is one of these going to be the Season Spectacular?
Well, the whole weekend is now considered our spectacular. We're not just doing one night with the Beach Boys. We're doing come to the Guitar Masters weekend.
I see.
So it's a little bit of a different strategy, but we think that it's more inclusive because now we can have 1,000 people come to celebrate Guildhall and be a part of this. And tickets are available for the individual shows.
And they can come on only one night.
They can come on just one night.
Yeah.
If you're a Badi Assad fan, or if you're excited to see Andy Summers from the Police, you can just come on that night. But we also have Bela Fleck, who is a 30 Grammy Award nominations. I think he won 15 Grammy Awards. He's arguably the finest banjo player on the planet Earth. He's going to be doing one night in August.
His name? I don't know.
Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. But he's doing a solo night, Bela Fleck. Yeah, you haven't heard of him. Well,
no, I don't know everything.
Well, it's okay, but now you have a chance to come.
You're educating me.
I'm educating you, and Bela, I've been trying to get him to Guildhall for years.
Wow.
And his work as an instrumentalist is revolutionary in and of itself. And his body of work is
So what night is he, you
incomparable.
know?
Yeah, and forgive me because I'm using my
how
book here.
How could you remember all
I can't
this?
remember the details on 80 shows. Bela Fleck is August 5th. We have part of, but I want to go back to Summer of Stories for a minute because there's so many programs that are part of this. There's comedians, Sandra Bernhard, who is always hilarious.
Yes,
her new show, Sandemonium, is coming, and that's on the first weekend leading into June 30th on a Saturday night. And other comedians that are part of the Summer of Stories, Hassan Minhaj, you may have heard of. He's a senior correspondent on The Daily Show. He was with Jon Stewart, and he was with, now he's with Trevor Noah. and he did the press corps event last year, that controversial press corps event last year, and he's got a show on Netflix. So we're very excited to have Hassan Minhaj. He's a brilliant young
You're
comedian.
going to stir it up, aren't you?
He's great, and he's a little edgy. And speaking of edgy, we have Tig Notaro. You may have heard of Tig Notaro. She's another terrific cutting-edge comedian. She's been very much in the news this year, and she's done a very funny video that she's going to show called Clown Service, which has been in the news, and she's also going to do about an hour and a half of her stand-up, which is the driest, wittiest, wryest stuff, and that's on a headlining night in August. She's a great storyteller on August 18th. Also part of Summer of Stories, David Sedaris, who has been at Guildhall before,
Yes.
but we're very excited to have him back. He is a master storyteller.
Oh, he's fabulous.
Something that's new this summer is an evening called Hey Doyle, Tales and Jazz. Now, this is being done by a group called Word Theater, which is a group that we've had at Guildhall before, but not in this kind of a program. Word Theater marries storytelling, great writers, with famous celebrities who read them, and this year they're accompanied by a jazz band. So you've got a musical evening, and the headliner is Bruce Willis, a great film star.
I know
who's gonna
Bruce Willis. I went to school with Bruce Willis.
There you go. We got somebody. Well, a lot people are excited about Bruce coming, and
What's he going to do?
he's going to be doing these stories called Hey Doyle, stories by a short story writer called Brian Doyle, who's been featured often in the Pushcart Press. And the Pushcart Press, which is published with Jeannie Anderson, who
Yeah.
works here at LTV,
Right.
very involved. And so his stories have often appeared in the Pushcart Press anthology of the best short stories. And so Word Theater has put together an evening of Doyle stories where Willis is reading some. He's joined by Carla Gugino, who is a film star. Coleman Domingo. I don't know
Oh,
if you
I know.
watch
I
AMC.
did an
You,
interview.
Coleman.
Coleman, I know really
He's
well.
great, right?
He's
And I watch
terrific.
him on Fear the Walking Dead right now. He's terrific in
Yeah.
that show. I love that show.
He wrote the book for the Donna Summer show.
Oh, he did?
Yeah,
I didn't
one
know
of three
that.
people that collaborated on it. Yeah.
Well, he's going to be reading. It's a great lineup.
You'll have to get how much? You'll have to get
Bruce Villanche, you know, the comedian Bruce
Yes,
Villanche,
he's-
hilarious. So that night alone,
We'll have to get both of them to come on the show and talk about it.
I've only got them
I'll
coming.
work on it.
You'll work on it. They're coming on July 28th, and I want to also say in the Summer of Stories is Laurie Anderson.
Oh, I love Laurie
whose
Anderson.
work is still at the vanguard of performance and visual art. And we're so excited this year because Laurie's show, she's doing a performance which is called All the Things I Lost in the Flood, which is a wild evening of stories. But she's also being exhibited in the Guildhall Museum. Not only are we a theater, we're
when is
also a
she gonna be
museum.
exhibited?
Her exhibition is going to be in June and July at Guildhall, and it's a virtual reality exhibition.
Oh, how
so
fabulous.
you're going to come, you sign up for a time, and you put on the headset, and you go into VR and go into Laurie Anderson's world of virtual reality, which was recently at Mass MoCA up in Massachusetts, and it was mind-blowing. So in one gallery, you can sign up and do her VR, and in the other galleries, you can see her incredible chalk drawings of her dog Lola and these amazing, and then you can
Is
come.
Lola a new dog or the one
I
who
think that
died?
was the one who died, but she's done this
I have an
beautiful
interesting story, but I'll
work.
tell you about it later.
Okay. I know that dog too. I kissed that dog a few years
Lola?
ago when she came to the stage, and I went up and she gave me a kiss. But but Laurie Anderson has got a performance at Guildhall, and that's on July 14th. So.
And she was just recently, Christina interviewed her, right?
Oh yes, at Guildhall too. So this is a great year for Laurie Anderson.
Yeah, she's terrific.
And she's a great storyteller. She has been, and she is, and she's still amazingly at this incredible presence. So we're delighted to have her. There's a Ugandan storyteller, flute player named Samite, who just did a beautiful show up in Connecticut, and we're very lucky to have him coming down on July 13th. And that's part of the Summer of Stories, so that's an evening of Ugandan flute music. And he's actually performing the same night that the Bridgehampton Rec Center is bringing one of the foremost thinkers on race relations, Khalil Gibran Muhammad, is coming to give a free lecture on July 13th, and then later that night you can stay and enjoy Samite. So there's diversity in our programming. Questlove, who you probably know, Questlove.
Yeah, it's in my- why? I know it,
You
but
know him because he is the lead drummer for The Roots, which is a hip hop band that is the house band for The Tonight Show. Yeah, so you probably, yeah. So
I knew that
with
name,
Jimmy
but I don't-
Fallon, they're there every night with Jimmy Fallon. But Questlove himself is a great writer. He's a great thinker. He's a fan of the culinary arts. He's a fan of the creative life, and he gives these lectures called Conversations on Creativity with Questlove. He does it at Pace University. He does it at different venues around the country, different
So he's
colleges.
going to do a conversation on creativity?
He's going to do 3 conversations.
On 3 separate
yes,
nights?
It's called
What are the nights?
Midsummer Night Conversations on Creativity with Questlove. It's 2 Sundays in July, July 15th and July 29th. And then the final one is on August 12th, on Sunday. So 3 different conversations with Questlove. And we haven't announced the guest yet. He's still working on booking the guests, but on his list to call are people, I don't want to give it away, but
No, don't then.
Okay,
Because
a very
they-
famous
because if they don't make it.
astronomer who you would know by sight because he's the astronomer on all the television shows. Okay, I'll give you another clue. The guy who wrote Hamilton, the musical, perhaps you've heard of. Yes, he's on the call list. So I don't want to announce it, but the guests are at that caliber of national thinkers, national major chefs. He's a big foodie, Questlove. So stay tuned to our new website at guildhall.org because we will be announcing Questlove's guests.
And if anybody wants to follow up on anything you've talked about
yes.
at Guildhall,
We just had
guildhall.org is the website, and everything is on the website in case you can't remember everything that Josh is talking about.
Yeah, thank you. And tickets are now on sale. In fact, we went on sale just last week, and our box office opens at the end of May, but you can only buy tickets right now through the box office website. But we opened with the Avett Brothers. Perhaps you've heard of them. They're a terrific
No, I
band.
didn't know them.
They sell out stadiums. They're fabulous. So part of G.E. Smith's portrait series is in August. He's bringing the Avett Brothers, 2 of the brothers, Scott and Seth Avett, and that's sold out in about 30 hours on our.
You mean it's gone
It's
already?
gone. It's sold out.
Wow.
But there's still another chance to see GE, not Richard Thompson, but he's also doing a show with this great surfer guitar player named Trevor Hall. Again, a young
I've heard of Trevor Hall,
artist,
too.
he's a terrific young talent who's really popular in certain circles, and joining him is an older 90s legend, Sophie B. Hawkins, a great singer-songwriter. So what an eclectic evening with G.E. Smith, Sophie B. Hawkins, Trevor Hall. The Avett Brothers is later in
Your
the
whole
summer.
program for the
Bailiff
whole
Mike-
season is eclectic.
I think Betrayal, we're doing a play reading with Harris Yulin and Mercedes Rule, a reading of Betrayal, a Pinter play. We're also doing a reading of a brand new play. This might interest you. It's called Daughters of the Sexual Revolution. And it's a brand new play. It's
Who's it by?
a young woman named Goldstein. I'm forgetting her first name. Forgive me. But it's starring Melissa Gilbert, the great star from back in the 70s, Little House on the Prairie, and her husband, Timothy Busfield, from 30-something. And that's a brand new play which is set in the 70s, and it's all about the sexual revolution and coming of age and sexual politics and identity. And it's a very interesting play. And the producers are actually looking to bring that to New York, so we're really excited to have a little showcase of it at Guildhall. We have a Cuban play that's being read for a night called Locura. We have that Jim LaRocque is directing. We have the Hamptons Institute, which is coming back.
Right.
Which is 3 nights of conversation with various leaders, thought leaders from all different walks of life, political, media. Alec Baldwin produces this and hosts it. Again, we haven't announced the guests, but if people have been following the Hamptons Institute, they'll know that these are 3 Monday nights in August not to be missed. Alec is also hosting
He's always terrific.
his podcast, Here's the Thing. He's doing.
Is that something new that he's doing?
Yeah,
Here's
he's
the
never.
thing?
He does this on NPR, WNYC, and he's doing. His guest is Steve Higgins, who's one of the producers for Saturday Night Live, and who's a hilarious guest in his own right. So Alec is going to be doing his podcast live with a live studio audience, which will be the audience of the John Drew Theater, and that's on. That's before Tig Notaro on Saturday, August 18th. And Alec is also hosting the Summer Doc series, which is with the Hamptons International
he
Film
does it.
Festival. You
Those-
probably come to that.
I've seen them all. He's at his finest doing that. I
He's
think.
great, right?
He's so provocative, and he asks such difficult questions. I mean, I love those series
The
with him.
first one he's doing is called Come Into My Mind, and it's a documentary about Robin Williams. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing one called Chef Flynn later in the summer, which is about this 10-year-old prodigy gourmet chef. And the second one hasn't been announced yet, so.
So we have under 2 minutes. You believe how fast the time
I
goes.
haven't even listed everything.
Is there any? What have we missed? It's really hot.
Let's Misbehave, the music of Cole Porter, which is starring Anna Bergman and K.T. Sullivan, and is a cabaret show. It's a bit of a throwback to some of the stuff we used to do at Guildhall, but we still want to, have a touchstone of some of our cabaret programming that people have loved through the time. But a new artist, Anthony Ramos, is potentially coming on August 11th. Anthony Ramos was one of the original stars of Hamilton. He played Hamilton's son in that, and he's a star on Netflix of She's Gotta Have It, and he's starring in Godzilla this summer and a bunch of other movies. So if you don't know him now, you will know him, and you'll hear about him at this concert too.
Tell them their name again.
Anthony Ramos. Anthony, I didn't realize I wasn't. I've been looking at you the whole time. I haven't
It's okay.
Looked at. Is it okay? So the Summit, Guitar Masters, Questlove. These are some of the main highlights. The New York City Ballet is coming back. We have them every summer for a special program called On and Off Stage. That's a great night. It's selling very quickly. So if you're a dance fan, you should come and see the New York City Ballet. Lots of surprises too. Some great off-Broadway stuff. Animal Wisdom, which was a show that ran at the Bushwick Star in Brooklyn with Heather Christian. Fabulous show. She has a seance in the theater, summons the spirits of the dead in the theater.
What day is that?
That is on Thursday, July 26th. There's more. Come to our website.
We go to the Guildhall website because we're running out of time. I didn't know we need to have Josh here for 2 sessions probably to get all this done. But Josh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Guildhall.org. You can find out about everything he's talking about. Go see the shows.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.